5. Of received wisdom, like a light that can be seen as a new fact, for instructional wisdom, wisdom for wisdom, when one interprets wild possibilities and gets to the other, then the wind will make a path, and it will achieve the correct choice as if, from out of the multiplying of light which is sunshine, and from wisdom's many words, some of which we wish to last. And when wisdom, by the love for what an author needs to state, in either case represents Hokmah, wisdom, then the light will be of the bliss which is life, in the second Sephirot of the tree of life, Ein Sof, and it will be below heaven's golden gate. And when, in this work of mine found in the day and the present or in the past of a time before, which seeks to revise the theory of poetry, specifically in regards to from where influence comes, that is found in equals the anxiety of influence equals by Harold Bloom, I, like a light that makes existence bright, wish to engage a possibility staying strong, in a style which I, like in that light which is my shining heart, use in my own epic book, equals head buttressia, a religious fantasy equals, then, where I have borrowed, with pages of pathways of so many words, a little bit from the style of Dante who has helped me with my time, I will continue onwards, and then day will have to divide and play. And when I read with a good attempt also antithetically so with this style which is composed, then the day will be centered ever upon my thought, and it will have much to do with a teaching of mine, not pedantic, but provocative. And when another book that has as a day a hopeful glow, as that book I wrote called equals the celestial image of fire equals has a repetitive style as its vision, and when I wish at times to use such a style for sitting down with these words for this my work with my angels, then the day will happen to brighten in the matter of its glory, and my semi-muses and guides will lay down this our narrative. And when Emily Dickinson's own style becomes seen, then the day will be on its road to genius, and it will repeat her subject matter, like the day floating at last between what is between, and she will substitute the subject, in that light going forth, with the appropriate equivalent pronouns or nouns, as through the day's own masterful steps, so as to be consistent in her repetition and in her own subject matter as the day within a trench of time. And when Dr. Hector Azan, the founder of eidetic imaging psychology has a normal head to remark whatever he thinks, then the day will be of a final truth where we will be talking about the pleasure of influence rather than the anxiety of influence. And when his comment has its moment, then the daylight will be mightily sailing, and it will be part of my starting point for this book that I am writing from my very heart. And when, in Percy Bysshe Shelley's essay, equals A Defense of Poetry, the poet, in a web of questions, speaks about how many of us pursue easier pleasures, then the light itself will aesthetically ache us, and some will pass up the rewards from the even more difficult ones, sometimes those of love and wit. And when what Shelley has in mind is as sensible as that day which crosses in the light of that difficult pleasure, then for the light with its sweetest joys, the day will survive longer, and that day, with its feelings for any and every happiness, will happen because such pleasures are more memorable, and they will be understood, and we will be in this very sunny reality, where pleasure in its more difficult collection will not give in to pain, and it will be gathered by those who value originality and uniqueness more in art and literature, even during what might be understood as our celestial present. And when gossiping plays its role, then blasts of light will be for the understanding of reading as with the day that tastes it for peace. And when gossiping is related, like the storm that is condemned in time, to the dichotomy between containing and being contained, then the light will be in this tale during this very hour. And when a person finally is reading, then the day will swagger through every weather, and that person will gossip or be gossiped about, or both, and yet a great critic reading from a book like Harold Bloom will do his share of gossiping, rounding about his own art, about the personalities in books, to whom we will hear and connect, because that will be part of his style as a great reader, even as light itself is a genius of peace. Equals Angel Donna with me. Equals A New Anxiety of Influence equals, final draft by Billy McBride. 6. When wisdom, as light in a speeding morning, as a to-do list, word by word, like light that is wandering and building up, comes, then a light of your genius is to my own genius, even from my volume, equals Hawaiian sonnets and other poems equals, like the light happily circling around us. And when rules, like from that wisdom which is calling in time, and organization, like that wisdom coming to the future faster, combine in learning the Greek language to influence my own wisdom, then that light will be perfect for the soul. And when the stars, to our wisdom which is back on land, and the astronomical catalogue, like those stars above a prevalent mountain, teach, and influence, me of space, then the love that with poetic courage the valiant will belt out, and precision for wisdom, and light will be read endlessly anytime. And when names, like the dawn which is a light skyward climbing, are provocative, then metonymy, naming and influence, like the dawn, will be a morning's lights sheet, being wives' nicknames, as a wisdom which is something that does not stall our way, to help out a language, that is a light of sweetness that we delight in, forgetting me what I, who seeks that wisdom which is in the backbone of a poem, want imprecisely. And when Ludwig Wittgenstein, as with that wisdom which eases reality, emphasizing description, allows for someone seeking wisdom, then a wisdom of not just love and money will be bolder because looking for meanings, which are lights that stop at their end, might bog down, or slow down, the process, as lights which are sent with their high meaning. And when Wittgenstein's descriptive names will be for things in this world, then those lights which time itself as teenaged will happen, and their redescriptive possibility, of a light that dances amongst our world, once searching for meaning, as a light branching out to stop what is bad, is put aside, opens up a greater provocation, as the dawn is the dream of the rainbow, for doing with and using names better, like the dawn whose visions are of a finer sort. And when purpose is as a light of an anonymous sight, and meaning is like a light that is clear and romantic, as Wittgenstein suggests, and they become opposites, then the dawn will have the most trusted sort of weather. And when Wittgenstein is as a wisdom, and he is for a rain time, with things in space, like a light working its way through a kingdom, with things in the world, pictures, the pictorial, etc., and words, names and descriptions, then a boldness like the dawn journeying to farms will occur. And when knowledge, love, will have its light that steals upon the blue, of names, that are like the light for celebrating poems, then such an event will happen while learning names, like the dawn that is the desire of birds. And when I, like the light which has not yet relinquished its meanings, am grateful for Alfred North Whitehead's sense of mathematical division, then the dawn which is a diamond of a reward will shine. And when his initial great idea, like the light upon a separate rainbow, is to begin the process in a divided world, reality, then the dawn that reigns in the meaning, to learn its divisions, will be a light finding its brightness, for the process of a process, as a wisdom that is as quick as the weather, to take place wisely. And when dividing up authors, organisms, occurs, then the clouds will go to a raining, and recognize their greatness, guidance and generosity, like the light not lost yet on the mountain, as an act of greatness and gratitude itself, as a dawn of divine colors. And when change in Whitehead's sense, like the dawn waving for a happiness, is represented by my angel wife Marian, then in her attribute, the light will leave our souls ripe, of the changing subject matter, like the dawn's field's curtain breeze. And when my feeling represented wife, angel ora tiferedo, like the breeze in its own dry take, represents the light within too, then light will prize again its own end. And when she, like a light upon a wholesome book, helps me to articulate my feelings best, then the breezes will be of the free weather, like Ludwig Beethoven has done in his music, like in his Ninth Symphony, the Ode to Joy. And when joy, as the breeze fiddles for its own freedom, becomes eros for us, then the light will be in its lovely tinge. And when John Milton will shine the first light of a dominant sun, then I will be grateful for him because he gets me closer to Angel Aura, as the light of the morning's wealth, who represents natural light, and fun, in our M.O.A.T. 36 chart, as the dawn is a helping light. And when Milton has this wisdom of a hued weather, then he will help with Angel Diana, judgment, who explains to me that the symbolic 11 brothers, like the storm sounds that are collecting, are not devils, but only hallucinations, like the storm's raintops antic. And when transumption, like the wisdom which is of a silent mind's breeze, happens by us reading Milton, who is a light that voices its name, as if he was reading of our angel Aura, and Diana, with all his sensitivity to light, then the sun will not be as anonymous as the moon. And when Beethoven's gratitude, like the breeze which harbors for glory, is what I learn and am grateful for in his Ode to Joy music, then light itself will influence all of the world. And when Angel Tov Tov Shalom becomes the world which is molded into and by love, and the Shekinah becomes the world that has the prevalent answers, and Eros becomes the love that happily circles, then love thy neighbor will be all connected, and the world will be potentially clear. Milton, whose wisdom had ordained /good out of evil to create. From Book 7 of Paradise Lost. Milton, hope elevates, and joy/brightens his crest. From Book 9, Ibid Milton, thou openest wisdom's way, and givest access. From Book 9, Ibid. And when Moshe Edel, who is like the light upon an infinite road, will have his interpretive choices between possibilities, then I, like our world in its momentary take, will appreciate them so as to choose, Henry James from Portrait of a Lady between them. And when Edel's comprehensive historical explanations and understandings of thought of Kabbalists, those who follow mysterious mystical paths, light all with its romantic imagination, then all will be wonderful. And when I am influenced, then the dawn with its shadows will matter, from Richard Rorty, also coming from Martin Heidegger, where he links, and the light will occur in its prevalent complexity, like a history to the importance of caring, as the dawn in its thin surprise, for being's progress. And when you can read the dawn on the mountain pass, and appreciate the light that spears to the flowers, then the dreams that you have, how they have influenced you, will be a light speeding through the morning to the lower day. And when Edel connects the wisdom with its mission for life, then those dots historically with textual evidence, as a mountain is a great expanse, will happen between the relationships in the structure of possibilities, and the mountain will be of a kingdom of space. And when he makes a mountain that is the whole answer, then a strong case, argument, between and for the strengths of what words relate to what words in thought and literature will be a light with new arguments to question the clean. And when Edel can narrow down helpfully, then a dawn, which is eastward in space, will be a great use for wisdom, and it will be a dawn mainly of happiness. And when pre-mystical experiences will dawn hopeful for children, then mystical experiences will be what we rely on, and Edel will state this upon the mountain that is free to storm. And when a catalogue is of the stars, then the ocean will be a definition of water, and it will teach me to deepen my wisdom as well as to broaden it, as the water is of a truth that is falling. And when borrowing the given nicknames of stars is done, then the ocean will be a pad for the light, and I will give such nicknames a light which leaves its teachings in the air, to Angel Tov Shalom and the others. Equals Angel Kabbalah with me. Equals a new anxiety of influence equals. By Billy McBride. 7. When hallucinations, like night with its victory songs, come as a result from taking things too literally, then the night will block us from our goals, and the tree of the knowledge of good and evil will be referred to as the tree of taking things too literally. And when we realize that our anxieties come like night's way of challenging and testing our lucks, from pain, humiliation, need, babble, anger, a loss of feeling like oneself, a loss of our best days, hesitation, forgetfulness, sleepiness and confusion, then such a night will exit divinely, and we will understand that such anxieties are from ignorance and illiteracy. And when wisdom, which has a river of dawn light, as light as the air, is worldly even though it is not heavenly, then that river will give out its street, and Homer will teach us that that contest of wisdom is of and for the foremost place. And when authors intend what they mean, even like the sky that passes its place above us, then the sky with pleasure will come back to us like a dance, and, without such authors, possibilities would destroy strong reading. And when one considers 11 bothering brothers to be like the sky unleashed from its clouds, then the heavens will stretch in their empty stretch, and one will consider them to be actors and directors. And when a sequence is Harold Bloom's goal like the plain rhythms of distant seasons, which is to become aware of the sequence of tropes that are figurative language, or become aware of sequence in general, how everything in a great poem is in order, then those seasons will be a solitude that helps at sunset, and there will be no accidents, and trust will reign in its tale. And when Percy Bysshe Shelley's unacknowledged legislators of the world make our wisdom possible like the lights of the stars of the beginning who were happiest, then those luminosities will happen with love's complexities, and we will learn that wisdom is an improvised variation on imitators. And when wisdom is a competitive contest that is held against imitation like a storm that happens between reality and make-believe, then such a storm will exist as a spectacle, and practical wisdom will require that very own revealed wisdom which is thought. And when the temple which is made up of rearranging the place like the winter in its ending freeze, then the winter will proceed with its song and magical build-up, and it will become a spacecraft as well. And when all is perfectly timed like the seasons in their wistful lights, then the lights will have a little extra pull, and trust, emunah, will happen to be understood that whatever next thing to do will indeed happen and be perfectly timed. And when there is no end to the wisdom this way like the seasons with their facts to hasten, then the seasons will have their magical complexities, and the angels of M. O. A. T. 36 will bug their opponents who are the 11 bothering brothers of the tree of taking things too literally. And when the angels cheer us onwards like the sun with its attractive warmth, then the sun will be of a noble sensibility, and we will indeed learn to trust the tale, equals Hawaiian sonnets and other poems equals or the Torah, for its wisdom, and not the teller, as D.H. Lawrence writes. And when I realized that I did not, nor ever will, make mistakes in time by following the Hawaiian sonnet instructional wisdom/code that is like a river that does not distract the traveler, then this river's pretty sight will be something that I wished for, and I will have perfect timing just like the Sephirot of Netzah in the Tree of Life, the Ein Sof. And when the perfect apartment is a temple, and when that temple is a spacecraft for the heaven of gray curtain piano like seasons of summers and winters holding together their forms, then such seasons will be delightful to view, and flexible interpretations of words will be all right to have, whatever final interpreted words are used for wisdom. Equals Angel Donna with me. Equals A New Anxiety of Influence equals. By Billy McBride. 8. When there are 11 bothering brothers within the weather of a peaceful rain, then the rain will be a pretty sight, and to ignore those brothers will work to take apart and dismantle the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, the tree of death, or alternatively, the tree of taking things too literally, so that the tree of life may thrive. When there is coat from the M. O. A. D project in the rain's long peacefulness, then the rain will hold its own form, and there will be charity. And when there are exciting possibilities for the poor to acquire more wealth from all of the weather and its pleasant rewards, then the weather will give to all a delightful view, and the idea that more happiness can be generated by such wealth might very well become a reality. And when with learning, one finds out just how they are contained in books in the light that travels downwards to the bottom of the field, then the field will not be afraid to have too much light. But what about that harshness that is God's victory, Netzah, that everything is in order, Hakal Beseder? Yet when everything has a meaning and the rain and the coming darkness is of its wind, then the rain will hold still and weep, and there will be no accidents. And when equals Hawaiian sonnets equals has a wisdom in the rain traveling to the middle of the land, then the rain will roll around all of the day, and it will be considered to be an important experimental take on law. And, when wisdom serves its purpose to eliminate the complete anxieties which happen from the ignorance of my 11 bothering brothers in the light for which a few might hope, then the light will have as much time in the day as it needs, and it will be as a result of enacting equals Hawaiian sonnets equals daily as a ritual practice. And when I learn better and better the code of equals Hawaiian sonnets equals in the light that corrects itself beyond me, then the light will become an eternal light, and it will make the tree of life ever live again. And when the very idea of M. O. A. T. and its popularization serves to increase good reading, literacy, in the atmosphere around a little street of the yard, then the little street will be seen to be open in the air, and it will do this by means of a substitution of a greatness to greatness translated and inferred, and that too will be a tremendous help. And when reading aloud happens in the light of a perfect truth, then the light will strip the clouds of their windy tendernesses, and doing so will spark what we think of as inference. And when happy moods result and are found in the clouds that flow eternally, then the clouds will be seen above the open road and the rocks, and we will immediately turn to great books, and that will put into practice the plan to seek hope in place of knowledge. And when M. O. A. T. is of a sort of happy inferring on the road of the force of time, then that road will be below the brooding clouds, and that music of ours will be better understood, even as a version of M. O. A. T. marketing. And when one can scat the equals Hawaiian sonnets equals in the rain waiting for perfection, then the rain will hang around with the clouds, and one will hear them better in the words of others, inferentially, as they talk. And when the inferential is transparent as ever in the weather that honors this rough place, then rough place will be of a layman's importance too, and the lower frequencies of sound will serve to carry the lines of equals Hawaiian sonnets equals from the lips of anybody and everybody speaking them. Equals Angel Kelly with me.